All right, boys and girls, I have one for you today that I am very excited to talk about because, like yesterday's Killing Faith, which I compared to Bone Tomahawk, and a lot of you seem to have loved, which brownie points for me. I'm happy I can give you guys something that you're enjoying, and I feel like I might do the same here for the people who love The Witch and or VVitch. And the reason I say that is because today I watched on Shudder, which is a Shudder exclusive. You can also find it on AMC Plus, I believe. I watched Heresy, which was released yesterday. Heresy has made some noise across the horror community simply for its presentation. The visual is so high intensity in terms of what it's trying to show to the audience. I mean, this is a folk horror through and through, and I've said in a couple videos that we need more of those. I think it was since Hokum, where I mentioned I really enjoy folk horror, and usually the US, Hollywood, they don't really touch it that much. They really don't, aside from just like what their interpretations of witches are. But usually you have to go foreign to find films that really explore that. And this film, being a Dutch film, is the right film to give you that lacking of witch folklore that we've all been wanting ever since The Witch or The Veach. And the reason I say that is because this is a companion piece in many ways, but at the same time, it is also much more visual. It leaves less to the imagination and it puts everything front and center. So the story here follows a woman named Fida who lives in a very patriarchal village. They are extremely religious, like burn at the stake. She is the devil. Exorcise her right now, kind of extreme. We all know the type. We've all seen the movies. And this is the kind of village that she lives in. The women here only exist to give children, to give life. That's all they exist for in this village. So much so that a man can easily just switch out his wife at a moment's notice if she is not providing what is desired of them. And the forest, as many of these movies do, is treated as sort of a base of ignorance, right? So whenever you watch movies of this kind, and it's a village, and there's the woods, whenever that's the base for whatever narrative you're about to tell, it's always very clear that the forest is typically the barrier of ignorance. So this is our little layer of comfort, and everything outside of that is what we're not willing to accept. That's why the forest always carries such horrors to them and to the visual and to the audience. And in this film, the woods are a very, very forbidden place. Again, as they always are in these kinds of films. The inciting act behind this film, which by the way is only an hour and 1 minute, and I think that worked to its advantage. Would I have taken another 20, 30 minutes? Absolutely, but I think no movie, no feature, I think this is considered a short feature. No feature needs to be regulated to like a certain amount of minutes if you're able to tell a story this strongly and this to the point. And I really, really liked it. I really liked that. In this film, the inciting act is that she is violated by one of the men in the village and she runs to the forest. This man then disappears and they blame it on her, and thus begins the entire sort of descent into this hellish nightmare that she is about to live throughout the film, and inevitably lead her towards the revelation of the third act, which I won't spoil for you guys, but I will say this fucking movie is an insane journey in just a tight hour and 1 minute. That 1 minute is very important. There's so much descent into hell when it comes to this film's character arc for Fida. She goes through so much, like holy hell, she goes through so much. And where The Witch is much more subtle and much more nuanced in its interpretations of religion and belief systems and sin, this is very much not in your face, but it doesn't hold anything back. It very much shows you everything it's talking about. And in that way, even down to the supernatural elements especially, which are kick-ass as fuck, it does everything right there in that hour. It has no time for the subtleties, but what it does in exchange is, one, give you some visuals that are hallucinogenic, like they are nightmare inducing. And what I love about this fucking movie, dude, and probably my favorite thing about this movie, is that there is texture to the film grain. There is texture to the shots. There's a lot of film grain in this movie, and it works to its advantage in such a way that makes the film almost feel like, you know, forbidden footage in a way. It also makes it feel like a fucking killer ass metal album cover. Like, it's so cool. But the film grain in this absolutely adds to the night scenes, the wood scenes, the scenes where the forest scenes, the scenes where you're dealing with the witch and the white lady, which is a very big part of Dutch folklore. And you see all that, but the way that the shots are textured with film grain, and you have these sparks on the screen that really work to its advantage. I wouldn't even say that. I would say, and I've been wrecking my brain about how they sort of created this visual palette during the editing process. This must have been so cool to sort of compose, because they definitely did some sort of post-processing, emulation, halation, maybe some form of slight blur. They definitely added, I believe it's called gate weaving, which adds jitters to the screen, that jitter effect that feels like old film. And just all that put together with such love during the night shoots just makes it feel like true film, but like something that is also nightmare-ish. Like you're putting a camera into someone's head while they're having a nightmare, and kudos to him for doing that. By the way, the director of this, Didier Didier, it's either Didier or Didier. It's probably Didier, now that I'm thinking about it phonetically. But anyway, he's done a few things already as a special effects artist. He's worked for The Conjuring 2, so he's got that under his belt. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and one more other film that eludes me. But this guy understands special effects, which explains why, with what I'm sure is a very low budget, because most Shudder exclusive films are, especially one that's a short, a feature short, he makes this look incredibly beautiful. It brought me back to the show that I've recommended to you guys in my best Halloween themed films and shows to watch, Salem. It reminded me a lot of Salem, had a little bit of Penny Dreadful in there, but it's so bewitching. So I'm not going to spoil too much more about this movie, because you should go in there and have the time of your life. For an hour, this movie is so tight, so precise, and it knows exactly what it's giving you. And again, a testament, not every movie needs to be an hour plus, right? If you have a tight story to tell and you know how you're going to tell it, an hour is perfect. And this is a great companion piece to, I was going to say companion piss. That is crazy. I don't piss with my friends. This is a great companion piece to watch with The Witch, where The Witch gives you the more sophisticated, nuanced way of telling the story. This one gives you the more art house, hallucinogenic trip that you're looking for if you're wanting something a little bit more like, you know, show me the witches. And again, the creature design in this is awesome. The way they treat the woods is awesome. And I love that there are subtle undertones to things that I've always thought were surprising about this kind of genre, which is you have the village that is always a commentary on, could be a commentary on whole society as it is, but I love that it is, you know, a character piece on ignorance, on mob mentality, which these films all are. But what's cool is that this one, more like most, feels like the forest really is the line of ignorance, right? These men are scared to go into the woods, but the woods are only a danger to men, because these men have created the sort of patriarch here where they've enforced these religious ideals that are causing people to die. And then when they go into the forest, they're scared because it's full of the unknown. And then, but to her, to fight it, she's comfortable there. Outside of the village, she's crossed the line of ignorance to accept that there's probably more to the world than just these theological guidelines that are being impressed upon everyone in the village, male or female. And I love that that is kind of an underlining theme in this entire movie. And like, fuck yeah. So, yeah, anyway, that is my review for Heresy. It is on Shudder. Please go watch it. If you liked my recommendation of Killing Faith adjacent to Bone Tomahawk, I think you'll like my recommendation of this adjacent to The Witch. So, yes. Anyway, as always, thank you guys for showing up and commenting and responding and sending me audio messages. If any of you still haven't sent me audio messages or messages on Instagram, feel free. Cosmic.frame1331. Feel free. We tend to have more deep conversations on Instagram, because I can just send audio messages, and I definitely try to give you guys good responses to chew on and questions and stuff. So anyway, thank you guys for the support as always, and I will see you at the movies.